Hey guys, let's break apart standing bow versus dancer pose. They're quite similar, but there are some subtle differences, and there's a lot going on in both. So let's take some time to break it down. So start with our feet position and our arm position. So if you start in a strong mountain pose, begin to bend the right knee. So we'll start on this side. And the first thing that you're going to do is catch your right foot. So for whatever reason, our instinct is to turn our shoulder and grab for the inside. You want to keep that shoulder open. So a lot of people instruct to keep it like you're serving a platter, and then just lower the right hand. And it's mirrored here, so when I say right, I mean it probably looks like left to you guys. And then you're going to grab for the inside of the foot. So if you can't, you can always just grab for the outside, but the goal is to work towards the inside of the foot. So what does that look like here? Where does I lose my balance? So you got that position, shoulder open. Then from here, as I face you, work the knee back under the hip. So you want the knees aligned, find that sturdy position. Next thing you do is left arm up, or the opposite arm goes up overhead. And the pose can be right here. Take an inhale, fill up. And on the exhale, you're going to start to kick your foot into your hand. And so really, a lot of us might just be right here focusing on engaging through the left leg, finding that balance, and then beginning to kick the right foot into the hand. So it might look as much of this. From here, if we're going to start with our standing bow, you can start to kick your foot away from your back, your bum. You're trying to get a little more space out and away. So you want to keep your knee in line with your hip. You're not trying to display it out. And you're going to use that kick to help create a little bit more space, opening through that shoulder. And left arm starts out by the ear, but as you move into standing bow, it's more of a hinging action. The kick will really help with your stability here. And then you're doing your best to keep that right hip, so the kicking foot hip, in line with the opposite hip. So you want, as best you can, square hips. It's going to open up a little bit, but not to worry. You're going to gaze over your fingertips, hinging from the hips, kicking a little more as your foot reaches out and away, creating more space, and then hinging up. So let me just do that on the other side. Left hand, left foot. Once you caught your foot, bring the knee under the hip, and I'll turn so you can see. Might look a little bit better on this side. Opposite arm reaches up. Start by taking an inhale, and on the exhale, use that exhale to start kicking the foot into the hand. And this right here, you can get a lot of engagement, a lot of action by just kicking that foot in the hand. So don't feel like you have to hinge or have to go any further than right here. Engage through the right quad. If you want to take it further, you can begin to kick a little more. Again, left shoulder is opening up, creating some space to work the foot a little further away. And then it's a hinging action. So standing bow is more of a hinge where you're working your chest, still lifted, but it can start to lower as you bring the left foot or the kicked foot over your head. Right arm is engaged. Just make sure you're not straining through that reached arm shoulder. And then you would slowly hinge back up. Now dancer pose is super similar. The only difference is after you've caught your foot, it's more upright. So you keep upright. You're still kicking, you're still reaching. And the ultimate pose, and actually I've never really practiced this, but the ultimate here is that view where you have both hands and you're catching your foot, and your foot is all the way over your head. So the real big differences I see in dancer versus standing bow is standing bow, you're staying a little bit more upright, and you're eventually working your foot to catch your hand up above. So let me know if that's helpful, if there's any questions. Helpful also to have, once you're in position, keep breathing, slow inhales, slow exhales, and then find your drishti, or that gaze, that point of focus. It's really helpful if you can find a spot on the wall to keep your eyes on. That will help with your stability. And I think that is it. Oh, and the other thing is the standing balancing leg. Make sure you're pressing through the whole ball and heel of your foot. So you want to make sure that you're spreading your toes, you're not gripping the toes, but using the whole four corners that we talk about, the ball of your foot. All right, let me know if there's any other questions. Hey guys, I wanted to do a part 2 of the standing bow versus dancer pose tutorial. I would be remiss to not share this modification. I had forgotten it in the first, and it is one of the first modifications you would go to if you're having trouble balancing in this pose. So what is that? That is using the wall. So as you can see, I've kind of flipped my rotation so I have a wall for view. And standing close, so you want the standing leg close to the wall, but some space there. You don't want to kind of lean on the wall as a crutch, but it's there as needed. And then begin to bend the right knee, so the opposite knee, or the knee away from the wall. Now, we had talked about 2 positions. You want to work towards the inside of the foot, but if you can't catch the inside, the outside is fine. Remember, shoulder is open, so we're externally rotating. We have a habit to want to internal, but it's that open shoulder that's going to help get some space when you kick. So grab whatever foot position, shoulder open, lifting the left arm, opposite arm, and begin to kick. So it can stay upright as you find that engagement, kick into your hand. And then as you start to hinge, start to move into the dancer. If you wibble and wobble, you've got the wall to be able to lean on and push off again, right? So that's your modification. And when it's time to switch, you're going to turn around and take the standing leg again, close to the wall, a little space there. Catch your foot, set it up, and then begin on your breath, just like we talked about in part 1. The other thing that I'll note is the surface that you're on. So think about if your mat's really squishy, it might help to stand on a harder surface and then work onto your mat. There's different mats with different thicknesses, or if you have your mat on a carpet, you want to maybe make some adjustments and eventually work your way. It will be an added challenge as you progress to be on a softer surface, but to starting with something a lot firmer is going to be helpful. So with that, if you have any questions, let me know. Namaste.